Hello and welcome back to my channel. For this video, I am creating a card for the newest Lawn Fanatics Challenge, Fun with Food. To start with, I am using several dies. I have outside-in stitched apple stackables. I have zesty lemon. I have strawberry patch. And now I have a die that coordinates with Out of This World. I'm just using one of the circles, so any circle die that would be an appropriate size would work for this. And then I have the stitched teapot for this teeny little flower shape right here. And that circle and that flower will make a blueberry. I'm going to start with my blueberry pieces, and I'm going to use B34, 37, and 39 to color in my blueberry. Now I'm just starting by laying down my lightest color, and then I'll add my dark and mid-tone colors. I just want there to be enough color variation in this little top piece to make it stand out from the rest of the blueberry. And for the main part of the blueberry, I just want a darker shadow at the bottom, blending out to the lightest color at the top. This will give it a round look. I wasn't super particular with the top piece. I just wanted it to be a little bit darker at the top and lighter at the bottom to kind of contrast with the rest of the blueberry. Now that that's colored, I can glue my little top piece to the rest of the blueberry. I don't know the names for these pieces. And here I have the other ones that I have colored and put together. Moving on to my lemon slice, I have Y15 and Y11, and I'm just going to color the very outer part of this circle that comes in that die set. This will be the rind. I did a very basic lay down of the lightest color, and then I went in with my darkest color just to create some dots. Next up for the inside, I have YG quadruple 0, which I know is a yellow-green, but it was very yellow, and Y02. And this will be the little, I don't know what you would call them, segments of the lemon. And I'm just coloring those. I have the lightest color laid down, and then I'm adding just a little bit of the darkest color around the outside edges and the center bit. Now that's colored, I can put them together. I also have some that I have cut in half to create little slices, or wedges I should say. I've done the same for the lime. For the lime, I have the same YG quadruple 0, YG1, YG3, YG5, and then for this main lemon or lime, I'm coloring real quick with the mid-tone, just where the dots would be on the back piece. And then I'm taking my darkest color and laying my shadows down over the top piece. And I did add it a little bit to the top and the bottom just to give it a more rounded look. I'm sort of feathering out too so that it's not such a harsh line. Going with my mid-tone and then my lightest color. I did the exact same thing for the lemon. The colors I used for the lemon were Y00, Y11, and Y15. Moving on to my strawberry, I have R22, 24, 27, and 29. I'm going to lay down my base color for most of the strawberry. And then on the very other end, I'm going to do my darker colors. And I'm going to kind of make it go out towards the middle a little bit, just to make it look like some of it's in shadow and some of it's in light. This is one of the die cuts I didn't feel like I had to do a ton of work to, just because it has the little seeds and everything. I figured the detail was kind of already there. I'm using YG3, 5, and 9 to do my little strawberry tops. I kept this pretty simple as well, just added some slight color variation to it. And I'm using Y13 to make the seeds, and I know it cuts out a piece for the seeds, but I'm actually using that for slices of strawberry. And for that, I'm using R30, 22, and what was the other one? 24. So to start with, I'm creating kind of like a stretched out heart shape in the middle with my lightest color, and I'm going in just on the inside of that with my medium color. And then around the edges of the strawberry, I'm doing a sort of wavy, sort of bumpy line along the edges of the strawberry, except for the very middle at the top. If you look at a cut strawberry, it kind of has a darker edge to it. And then I'm bringing in my mid-tone in sort of stripes that are all pointing towards that inside heart, making sure they're not all the same length or same width. Also, I didn't want them evenly spaced apart. Once I have that done, I'm going to go in with my lightest color, which was my R30, And I'm just kind of fill in around each of those little stripes that I made, being careful to still leave some amount of white line. And there you have it, a little strawberry slice. Now for my apple. I have cut one in half. I've actually die cut two. I'm going to use R05 and I'm going to create the skin on the outside of the apple. Now obviously when you have them cut like this you don't see a whole lot, but you do see a little bit more towards the bottom and the top center. Now I'm taking some brown markers. I have E23, I can't think. And I made the little seed, and then I have E40 and I'm making the little core, how it's a little bit darker in the apple. And then I'm going to add some shading to the seed with just a little bit of E25. These are the colors that I use later for the apple stem. Back to my Y25, I am going to give this a little bit of a base color of yellow for this whole apple. This was the one die cut I was concerned that wouldn't look very good because it's so big without a lot of detail. So I have my R05 and R08, and I'm just picking where I think I need to lay down my color. Eventually the whole thing is going to be mostly red, but I did want to kind of create some amount of texture in it, because if you look at apples, they're usually kind of not stripy, but they kind of look like they've been painted a little bit, I guess. And then with my darker color, I am laying it down in strategic areas to try to give it a more rounded and shaded look. So like this part that I've done in the front, I'm deepening with R35. But this part in the front was really to make it look like it was a rounded apple. I think it actually turned out pretty well. I'm just going back and forth between my colors. The yellow is really there to just brighten up the whole apple. And also, if you look at a lot of red apples, they do have some amount of yellow in them. So I was really trying to capture that. And the whole time here, I am doing flicking motions. I don't want a super stark line, and this is something you really have to work at in order to be able to do it well. I'm taking my colorless blender, and all this is going to do is push the ink out a little bit so that it lightens it up. And I just wanted a little bit of dotty texture to my apple. We tend to keep apples at my house, so I didn't really have to worry about looking at a reference too much. But if you just need one and it'll make your stuff look better, always pull up a reference photo. Now I have the scallop slimline with heart portrait die. I'm just using the scallop bit, and I'm rearranging my fruits along my panel. Now the only thing I really was thinking here was keep things even as far as, the big apple in the middle, and then, keep things fairly even in size on each side. I also wanted to make sure that I didn't stick all the limes together or the lemons together or the strawberries like right on top of the apple, because I don't know, things get sort of lost that way, and it looks nice when all the colors are sort of dispersed evenly across the card. Alright, so I need to glue my little strawberry top down real quick, but the rest of the stuff I can just flip it right over because it's all stuck together all nicely, and I'm just going to put glue all over the back. And I'm going to tuck some glue in between some of the die cut pieces where there's several pieces overlapping, and then I can adhere it straight down to my card. This works really, really well, and I do recommend some press and seal in your craft room if you do anything like this. Now I have some clear Nuvo drops, and I'm just glazing the strawberries, glazing the inside of the little lemon and lime wedges and slices. This is just, to make it look juicy. And I am rubbing the strawberries with my finger a little bit because I got a little bit heavy-handed with my glaze, and I didn't like how not smooth it looked. So I did have to kind of assist that. The lemon and limes were just fine. Now I'm going in with my white gel pen, and I'm just adding some subtle highlights. Now what I'm doing is, while the ink is still wet, I am rubbing my finger over it so it sort of smudges it. This will give a much more subtle highlight. It won't be so cartoon looking. Okay, so now I'm going to use my cool gray markers in my lighter shades to create shadows underneath the fruit. And this will make it look like it's sitting on a counter or something. So to start with, I kind of mapped out where I wanted things with one of my lighter colors. And then I went in with my darker color. And I'm just trying to blend it out just a little bit. I didn't want it to punch you in the face, It just needed to be subtle. So hopefully I achieve that. I always hate doing this and I'm not really sure why. Next up, for the border around my card, because I felt like it needed it, I have this striped paper from Fawn. I believe this was all the dots. And I am just taking my quilting ruler and I am cutting every 2 groups of lines, just straight down diagonally. And I did this for not just the blue, but the red, the yellow, and the green. And this just coordinates with the colors that I used for the card. So here I have my card base and all my little cut pieces. This took a while. Definitely, if you have a guillotine trimmer, use that. It would have saved me so much time. But anyway, I'm just picking the pieces that I want to lay out across my card before I glue them down. And something I will say is, because my card is so long and the paper I used is 6x6, I did need to cut some of my pieces in half. Now, the whole middle section of this card, you're not going to see, like the stripes anyway. You're only going to see the very edges, like I think it's like 1/4 of an inch for each edge. So it's not a whole lot. It's just enough to give a pop of color. So when you cut in the middle, nobody will notice. I'm just trimming off the edges. I tried with my X-Acto knife. It sort of worked. Kind of started to shred some of my stuff, so I moved to the scissors. It was a little bit faster. All right, now that that's done, I can adhere my main panel to my card base, and then my card is complete. It kind of reminds me of zebra fruit stripe gum right now. Anyway, this is my card for the newest Fawn challenge. I hope you enjoyed it. I'll be back with another video soon. Bye!